Welcome to the American Enlightenment Podcast. I am Toby, the producer and editor for the program. John is not here today, so I'm filling in. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about today is we live in a different kind of world these days. I just kind of want to have a conversation about the things that I see that have changed in, I guess, the world and how kind of the old school and the new school are learning to live with each other. I know living in harmony is not always the easiest thing. There's a lot to it. There's just people out there that have their own opinions. I have my own opinion. Our team has their own opinion. That's just kind of how life goes, right? And we can't squash someone else's opinion because they feel a certain way and you don't necessarily agree with it. But what you can do is you can speak up when you think something is out of line. So if something doesn't line up and it seems to be a touchy subject, then a lot of times it's hard to have that conversation because one of you feels like you're getting backed up against the wall, so you get defensive, and the next thing you know, now you're losing friends. You're on Facebook making crazy comments, and now boom, you're having fallouts with everybody. But the truth is, censorship has never really been a good thing in any aspect. So when Twitter was around, and now it's X, Twitter became, I don't know, a voice for a lot of people, but they didn't have a lot of censorship. And so people liked it. You could watch all kinds of stuff on Twitter, and they didn't care. But then they started getting political. And once they started getting political, it kind of changed the narrative on there. And now you have a site that's owned by a person who has his own political belief system and is going to push that narrative on his own company's website, I guess, right? So if you own Twitter and you are a left leaning like extremist, then more than likely you're not going to like all the right leaning extremists on your platform. I mean, that just makes sense to me. It's kind of the same reason I don't like having extremist judges. How are you going to be biased if you are extreme one way or the other, right? So there has to be a balance. A lot of these judges that I see getting in Congress, getting interviewed by the Senate, a lot of that stuff is just kind of, you know, what about this paper you wrote that was so anti-left? What about this paper you wrote that was so anti-right, right? So there's both sides to it, but they don't want you to be super extreme because that is not going to work when you're trying to be fair and balanced in a court of law, right? So that kind of goes with all kinds of censorship to me is let people be who they are, right? But don't try and silence the other side because you're being petty. So one thing that I've noticed with X, now that Twitter is not around, it's X, we got Elon. Okay, so Elon has his own political beliefs, and now that Elon is feels a certain way about his own politics, he's going to push back against the other side. Now, using his own platform to do that is, I guess, up to him. But here's the catch: he's completely against censorship, just like a lot of people are, just like I am, a lot of people. And he still seems to be at times trying to censor the other side. We don't want that. That's completely what he's against. It's what uh, I don't know. I mean, literally 90% of the people I know don't want censorship in any sense. I don't care what it involves. I just feel like people should be able to have free speech. If you're going to say some hateful shit, I don't know, just punch them in their face. But there's always going to be some kind of, resolve. It's just we can't get so petty that because I called you, a jerk, now you want me arrested. That's crazy, right? So the way the world is today compared to how it used to be, for me, it definitely feels like everybody's more sensitive. It feels like everybody's much more, you know, quick to want to run and tell, or people want to throw rocks and hide their hands. When back in the day, I don't feel like it was that way. I feel like if you had something to say, you just said it. Back in the day, if you had a problem, you'd throw hands. Like, it's just, I mean, it's a different kind of world. And watching us kind of change into what we have changed into now is very weird for me, because it's not that I'm so stuck in my old school ways as much as that I'm like, what's wrong with some of the values? What's wrong with morale? What's wrong with, believing in God? Like, what's wrong with the national anthem? What's wrong with, like, it's strange to me. So it's okay to not believe in something, but what's wrong with someone else believing in that? It's like a lot of the gender stuff. A lot of the issues that people are having is not necessarily like, oh, you know, don't let them be them. Sure, people don't care. I think we're way past the whole homophobe stuff from back in the, you know, 40s. I don't think it's like that anymore. I mean, I really don't. I don't know anybody that's like that. I don't know any racist people. I don't know any homophobes, right? Do they exist? Sure, but I don't know any of those people. So it's strange to me that we would be here, right? Fighting all these narratives when it's just blown out of proportion. It's the media doing that, and that's why sometimes it's nice to turn the camera around and speak your piece, because everybody has their own 2 cents, but you can't just let people control your narrative, because that's your narrative. Steer your own boat. That's not up to them. So I just feel like if there's a way for people to coexist, and there's a way for people to kind of have their way without trying to intrude other people's values or belief systems, then so be it. But we can't be like, oh my gosh, you don't agree with that? Oh, wow. Wow, right? Like, what is that? What is that? Why would you even do that, right? Someone else doesn't believe in something you don't believe. Who cares? That's a rather pompous attitude, to look at everybody in the face and go, you should be just like me. If you're not, oh, you are so bad. You're so what is that? What is that? So we can't we can't keep walking around with this attitude that's like, hey, you're either gonna be like this or else. No, no. You do you, I'll do me, and we can all walk around and have a great time. Right? No issues. I don't know anybody that walks around picking on people on a daily basis. Do I believe some people feel uncomfortable when they go out in public, or or in a different kind of environment? Sure, sure. But I'm also the kind of guy that goes, well, if I was just to walk around and go put on a leprechaun suit right now, and I walk around town right now, everyone's gonna be like staring at me. But can I cry wolf over that? Because I'm wearing a leprechaun uniform. I kind of would expect people to be looking at me. So it's weird to me that people want to kind of go, oh, I'm going to be like this and no one's going to stop me. And then when people are pointing or looking or not treating you the way you feel like you need to be treated, people are like, oh my gosh, that's bullcrap. I can't believe they do that to me. It's just, it's the leprechaun suit. It just is what it is. It doesn't matter. Who cares? You're correct. It doesn't matter what other people think. Live your own life. If you feel like you don't fit in, that's probably because you don't. But that's okay. That's okay. Right? That's the world we live in. Growing up, I remember when kids used to make fun of me for my shoes when I was growing up. A lot of my friends had nice shoes. I never had nice shoes. So because I never had nice shoes, my friends would tease me. Were they my friends still? Sure. Right? Did I power through that? I did. Like, I'm okay. I made it. So I never asked for my own school that has people that have crappy shoes, so I could fit in. Like, it doesn't work that way. So that's another kind of example of how, like, the world has changed, and how where I come from in the older generation. I'm in my 40s. I'm not sitting here acting like I'm from the 20s or nothing. I'm just trying to say, like, life has changed drastically over the last couple of decades, and it doesn't necessarily have to. I feel like we can transition into a new era with people being happy and people being themselves and not worrying so much about what other people think, because it's not as bad as what people think. It really isn't. I really believe that. I really believe that when people walk around every day, people aren't making fun of you in their head like you think they are. People aren't thinking these negative, bad thoughts like you think they are. It's just people's paranoia at this point. And so, if we could just learn to be confident, be yourself, not press your issues on other people, don't be Karens, just mind your business, we'll be okay, people. We'll be good. We're headed in a good direction. I know not everybody is huge on Mr. Trump, but that's, once again, like, what do we have to lose? Okay, we just had a president that talked to trees. So you can't. I mean, what are you supposed to do from there, right? You can only go up. So you might not like the guy's morals. You might not like his hair or how he talks, but you got to wait and see. You got to see what happens and what comes from this. You never know. It could be good, could be bad. I'm not here to tell you that I know, because I don't know. But what I do know is that we're coming out of a really bad presidency and we need to fix it. So now we got to figure out what the heck we're going to do from here. We can only go up, right? It's already a plus that we got a guy that can hold a sentence at least. You might not like his sentences, but he can hold one. So that's a start. So let's see what happens. Everyone needs to get along. If you're going to protest, do it in a respectful manner. We don't need to break windows, break businesses. Just put yourself in their shoes. What if you own that company? What if you owned a business and people start throwing rocks through the windows in the name of politics because you're being petty? No. Be respectful. Love your neighbors. Try and be kind to each other. That's all you can do. There's no more time for this nonsense. We can't sit there and fight for the rest of our lives. I mean, dogma is going to destroy us if we don't figure that out. And if you don't know what that means, I guess just look it up. But this is Toby filling in for John today. This is the American Enlightenment Podcast. Thank you so much for watching. We just hit 100,000 subscribers. That is amazing. And we just released a documentary called Unseen Americans Documentary. So make sure you go check that out. It's on our channel right now. And hey, just let us know what you want to see. We're constantly building, constantly growing. We are probably going to make another podcast here pretty soon. So make sure you look out for that. We have a show called Crisis Clean that's coming out soon, which is about crime scene cleanups. And I know that's a very interesting topic a lot of people don't know about. So that'll be very interesting. So wait for that. Unseen Americans is doing great. That comes out every Friday. Like I said, the documentary that just came out, that's on the channel. And then every Wednesday, you have the American Enlightenment Podcast. So make sure you tune in every week, 3 o'clock. I'll see you every Wednesday. Till then.